Всем привет, доброе утро. Guys, good morning. And it's good to be back here in Minsk. I'm right here in Plasha Yakuba Kolasa. And that dude there behind me is Jakub Kolas, one of the national poets of Belarus. Okay, so we're back in Belarus. And that means another provincial adventure. It's a big one. It's a surprise. I'm not going to reveal exactly what it is, but I'm really excited. It's about 7 a.m. It's Sunday morning here, and it's going to be another beautiful day. No rain. And I think I see somebody over there. Okay, let's go. So guys, good morning. I'm back in Belarus after my 2-week vacation in Portugal. Now, we have a special for you today. The first time in nearly 2 years, a resident historian is back. And we're in Brest Oblast. We're in a village called Belarus, okay? And we're not far from actually Baranovichi. And why we're actually here in Baranovichi, well, Dr. Ihar Melnikau is back, and he's going to exactly explain why.
Hello, friends. It's really very interesting. Today we will have a big trip to the history of the First World War, especially Baranovichi battle. Neil made a little bit mistake because we are here in Minsk region, but this is a small village, Pogorelцы, on the border between three regions, Minsk, Brest and Grodno. That's why it's very interesting. This place is has connection with First World War because the headquarters of the 4th Russian army, which participated in the Battle of Baranovichi, was in Nesvish, and here were a lot of hospitals of the Russian army. That's why there were a lot of cemeteries, and unfortunately here we have fields, but on this field we have several Russian cemeteries of the First World War. I hope that this video will also help to make a monument to commemorate the soldiers, a tragedy of the First World War. That's why we are here, and today we will see a lot of interesting pillboxes and places which have connection with the First World War and Battle of Baranovichi 1916.
Okay, so the Battle of Baranovichi took place in July 1916.
June, July
1916, and it was in the backdrop of a larger offensive that took place south of here in Ukraine. This is the more well-known Brusilov offensive.
Yes.
Yeah.
Brusilov offensive on the territory of present Ukraine, or in the Russian documents it was Lutsk offensive on the direction of Lutsk.
Okay. All right, guys. So we're going to explore some places. So stay with us. Let's move on. Okay. This is the actual monument that Igor was mentioned, and this was actually made in the 90th anniversary of the ending of the First World War, and to those, the memory of those who died on the territory of Belarus. Okay, folks, we're actually on our way to, we've actually found 2 more pillboxes here, and the front line that we're actually focusing on today, that extended from Riga down to Chernovitz down in Ukraine, and this line remained static for about 3 years, from about mid to late 1915 up to the end of the actual war, the Treaty of Brest-Litovsk. And the reason why is because the original front line was actually much further back in Poland, just before the main breakthrough of the German army in May-June 1915. This was the Gorlice Terno offensive that pushed the Russian army out of Poland, just east of Krakow, towards this line. And this allowed the Germans to build more fortifications on this line. So yeah, we have some more First World War pillboxes. Let's see what's inside there. Yes, we have. Okay, just down here. If we go inside here, yeah, quite simple boxes. Whoops. I don't know if you can see inside. So you can see the brackets where they actually placed the machine guns on. And this place, of course, was manned by 3 soldiers using 3 machine guns. Quite hard to believe, guys, that after 100 years, after more than a century, these are still actually preserved. Quite amazing when you think about it. Yeah, they're actually well built, these boxes, and haven't been used since. Yeah, so made by concrete with some rebar, built to withstand perhaps mortar shells, but not artillery. Yeah, we have some more in here into the forest, and you can still see, guys, just ahead of me here, the land here is still pockmarked by artillery shells. There's an artillery shell hole here, and there's one here, another one here. So yeah, full of shell holes. Quite interesting, quite fantastic. So Ihar, what do we have here? We have kind of like a trench line here.
We have here, yes, trenches. And
yeah.
This is not the main entrance, because main entrance is there,
yeah,
downstairs. And we have a typical pillbox for machine guns, German pillbox. And you see how Germans make here good positions. It's not only one pillbox in the field, it's just a different line for infantry. And
yeah,
well, in the center it was a big concrete main position, machine gun position. And backwards you also have trenches there.
yeah, more trenches over there, yeah. So you can still see here some of the trenches that the Germans used. It's like zigzag trenches. Yeah, let's see how deep they are. Hang on, I'm gonna go inside a trench. Whoops. Wow, so quite deep. And Germans would use these, of course, to shelter from incoming artillery fire and machine gun fire from the Russians. Yeah, and as I mentioned, these lines were static for about 3 years. So we had the Austro-Hungarian and German 4th Army and the Russian 9th Army, commanded by Evert, General Alexei Evert. Quite remarkable. I'm actually standing right inside a First World War trench. Quite remarkable. More than a century after the conflict, that we have the remnants of the Battle of Baranovichi. It took place in July 1916. Quite remarkable. This is where history comes alive. And the remnants, the remains of the battle, are still with us. So we have one of the pillboxes, and right in front of me here, the trench lines. You can actually see the contours of the trench lines right in front of me. It's kind of history that you read in books. When you come to the actual sites, you can actually relive the events, the battles of June and July 1916. And as Ihar mentioned earlier on, the Battle of Baranovichi took place within the backdrop of the larger Brusilov offensive, which took place further south along what's now in Ukraine. Діма зараз не працює.
Вот, шановні сябри, супер хлопець Діма, аматор білоруської історії. А ось там німецьке поховання. І ми зараз спробуємо його розкрити. Поховання якраз...
So what has happened here, folks, is that we have asked one of the villagers here, and she has actually directed us to the main one of the main German army cemeteries. Nobody knows about this place, and Dima's gone inside, start cutting down the trees here. Nobody knows about this place. This place is not on the map or anything, but we've actually discovered it by chance by asking one of the women, one of the residents here in the village. Here's Dima, our driver. Молодец, Dima, the молодец. Oskar seni upravление. Guys, we've stumbled across a gold mine here. We've actually found the main German graveyard cemetery for the Battle of Baranovichi. What a gold mine we have here.
Yes, it's very interesting. We found this place. It was very difficult. Local people help us to find. Here we have old houses, and that's great because this is a real German military graveyard, a military cemetery. And, it's interesting for me because it's not only Baranovichi battle. We have here 1916 and summer 1916, but we have here also 1915 until 1917. That's why because the front, as I told you already, the front between Russians and Germans was here from autumn 1915 until autumn or well, winter 1918. That's why 3 years and a lot of Germans who were killed during these battles, and we have this big monument and this cross upstairs. Here they held.
My German is a bit patchy, so you're going to have to translate.
Yes, here they buried here soldiers of German army, and yes, well, the period of when they died, October 1916, summer 1916, autumn, spring, and still the whole history. It's a unique place because it didn't destroy it. Here near Baranovichi is difficult to find correct or full German cemetery, and here we have this German cemetery, and on the next side of the street we have Orthodox place, also Orthodox graves. That's why it's interesting, really interesting place. One of the main signs here of the Battle of Baranovichi in 1916. And
do you have any idea how many soldiers are buried here? I suppose each different stone has a certain amount of soldiers.
Yes, maybe, but I think that something like 20 surnames on one stone. Here maybe 40 surnames. I think that more than 100.
Yeah.
Here it's interesting.
And some of the names here: Johann, 29 to the 7th, 1916. And we have more names down here, obviously obscured by plaster. Wow.
Here we have Edward Feldglas. About it was built in 1916, 1917. That's why I'm talking that this was during the whole period of this war, 1917. And here we have spare places. You see, no surnames because the war finished and this started new war. Polish Bolshevik war, but this is really a very interesting monument.
Yeah, it's a gold mine. Nobody knows about this place, but we've actually found it.
Yes, yes.
And we'll document it. This here, guys, is the river Servac. And you're probably wondering, what is the significance of this place here? Well, we're approximately about 12 kilometers northeast of Baranovichi, one of the big cities in the Brest Oblast. Remember, I was there last year for the Lodochka, the famous Baranovichi hot dog. But we're not here for hot dogs. This actually right here in front of me was actually the front line that ran along the eastern front. From Riga all the way down to the Romanian border. And this was it, the front line of the entire Eastern Front from 1915, from summer of 1915 up to 1918, when the Russian army collapsed on the Eastern Front. Yeah, it's very surreal when you're standing in a place like this, and this used to be the front line along the entire Eastern Front, where millions of men, the armies of Russia, Austria-Hungary, Imperial Germany, and Romania were stationed along a whole front for 3 years